This past week, I was out working on a sign. I wish I could say I was working on like a sign, like a star in the sky, but that's really way, way beyond my abilities. I was working on our sign out in front of our church. And our sign required some work because it's a little old now, and it's gotten kind of dirty. And the light wasn't coming on. In fact, the light was sort of dim for a pretty long time. So our sign it wasn't working the way that it should. And the words that were up on the sign, they'd been there for a while. And you know how that gets. When the same words are up there for a while or the same words are said, people don't necessarily pay as close attention. Ann Boyer usually changes the words on our sign, and she does a great job. But she was ill, and part of her illness made standing really, really hard. So she hadn't been able to change the words on the sign. So I said, I'll go out and do it. So I went out, and I looked at the sign, and I said, oh my gosh, it's really dirty. Now, I used to change the words before Ann volunteered to do that, and I think I just rushed out there and changed the words and rushed back inside. But for whatever reason, that day I looked and said, oh, it is really dirty. I better try to clean this up a little bit. So, put all the letters down. I went back into the church to get some cleaning stuff and some paper towels, and I'm kind of grumbling to myself because I really wasn't planning on cleaning the sign that day. I had all this other stuff that I had to do, and I was just, I can't believe I got to clean this sign. So I come back out, and I look at the sign, and I think, this is going to take forever. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to clean a border around the words. So it looked like a frame, and then we could tell people, that's how it was supposed to be, right? So I start to clean the top border, and all the dirt that had accumulated on the top ran down over all the letters and all the grooves. So now it sort of looked like a zebra. You couldn't read anything. And I said, oh, darn. That's the 4 o'clock edited version. I cannot believe this is going to take me forever to clean this sign now. So I took a deep breath. I remembered something from prayer practice. I took a deep breath and said, all right, I just got to do this. I just got to clean this sign. So I started cleaning. And then deep within, this little inside voice, the voice that's not so concerned about schedules and doing things that really need to be done, but the voice that's more concerned about important things, it said to me, yo, knucklehead, Christmas Eve is coming. Do you think maybe you could take just a little of your precious time and clean the sign? Okay. Yeah, I guess I could. So I'm cleaning. And it's dirty. It's really dirty. So I'm cleaning. And as I'm cleaning, I thought, we're getting ready for Jesus to celebrate Jesus' birth. And I got to thinking, I remember when we were getting ready for our son Slater's birth. We cleaned the house from top to bottom. We painted. We got things ready. You know how this works, right? When a new child is coming into the world, into your family, into, either it's your grandchild, or it's your son or your daughter. You get everything ready. You get the cribs ready, you get the car seats ready, you get the clothes ready. Boy, you spend, it doesn't matter how much time you spend, because it has to be ready. We got to get things ready, right? We know that. And as I'm doing that, I was like, wow, it really is important to get ready. God, I remember when our daughters were born. Well, I remember, see, we were putting this addition on the house because we thought our house was a little too small. That's when we were thinking we were only going to have one more child. So we were painting like crazy and doing all this sort of stuff. And then a month out, turns out we're going to have two. Talk about, what do we do? What are we going to do? How are we going to get everything ready? That's when our neighbors and friends came to the rescue. They pitched in and helped us out. And so we got ready. We were able to get ready. And then I started thinking, Joseph and Mary, they must have spent all this time getting ready too. They knew Jesus was coming. And despite all the murmurs and stuff, probably that people were saying, she was only engaged to Joseph. She wasn't really married. Where did this child come from? They knew they had to get ready. So they're getting their home all ready. And what happens? Turns out they got to travel all the way to Bethlehem. They got to leave their home. They got to leave their hometown. They have to leave their friends. They have to leave their family. They got to travel. Oh, that must have just been so anxiety producing. And they get all the way down to Bethlehem, and there's no space at an inn. And so they have to go to a stable, They have to go to a place where the animals are. And think about Joseph having to get ready, getting that barn as ready as he possibly could, cleaning it up, arranging the manger so that the baby would at least have some place to lay down when it was born, getting ready for the birth. And they were able to pull that off. They were able to get ready, and Jesus is born in that stable. And it hit me. Yeah, it's important for me to clean the sign. And as important as I want it to be absolutely perfect, that's not what God really cares about. Because God comes into the world in a stable, not in some opulent palace or an opulent delivery room. God comes into the world in a stable. And I thought, what God does here. When God comes into the world, what incredible trust God has in us human beings. What incredible trust. To say, okay, humans, I'm coming into the world just like every other child comes into the world, as a baby. And I'm going to trust that you're going to get ready to receive me. And I'm going to trust that you're going to take care of me for the rest of my life. And we do. We pull it off. Mary and Joseph do a great job. Friends and family help out. The disciples help out. Now, they can't prevent what some people are going to do, but we did a pretty good job. And the thing is, God has not stopped coming in that same way. It's not in some big, mega extravaganza sort of way that God comes into the world. It is in our everyday, regular lives, just like everybody else. God comes in. If we're going to notice that, we got to get ourselves ready. That's kind of the trick. We got to slow ourselves down enough to notice the dirt on the sign. We got to take a deep enough breath to realize, sometimes you just got to clean it up. Sometimes we got to clean up our muddy relationship with God. Sometimes we got to listen a little more carefully to the words that are right out there in front of us, because the words get a little old, they get a little stale. Sometimes we need a little bit of help. Because you know what happened after I cleaned the one side of the sign? Gene Shaner came out to me and said, look, I'll take care of the second side. Or I might still be out there. And then these two electricians from Wrightstone Electric, they came out to try to fix the light. And they were here for a while, and they gave up. Then they did another job, and they came back and they said, you know what, we have one more idea. And they went out and they got the lights on inside. And then Dane Miller came in. And he got the timer to work, so the sign comes on and it goes off. Kind of when it's supposed to. But that's the timer's fault, it's not Dane's. if we get ourselves ready, if we're willing to accept the help of other people to get ourselves ready, we will receive God coming into the world, coming into our lives. And that's what we're celebrating tonight. We're celebrating that birth 2,000 plus years ago. But we're also celebrating that God continues to come back to us year in and year out in our everyday life. And it can come at any moment, but it will come in the midst of our real lives, not some pretend way off yonder place. In the middle of cleaning a sign, or cleaning a bedroom, or getting ready for a child. Whose ever child that is. So this evening, amidst all that we're doing and thinking about, let's get ourselves ready.